right. The channel is live. Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to Adventure on so many levels. We're going to play Apocalypse Keys.
Apocalypse keys.
Yay. I am the keeper of doors for this campaign of Apocalypse Keys, where potentially world ending monsters have chosen to team up and stop other monsters from ending the world. For now. Our players tonight. Yes, do you have something?
Well, introduce me first.
Nobilis as John Deere.
This is going to be a deep cut for us podcasters. Some of us might remember this, but do you remember the Secret Society for Delayed World Conquest?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
A deep cut,
That's
but a good one.
I just realized the connection there. Somebody needs to point Kim to this.
Yes.
It's like, what? Are you going to trust the heroes to do it? Jason Banks as Myron.
Hello, everyone.
David Archambault as Pandorum.
So we're going to see what the effects of the horribleness that might have happened here.
Millie Cady as Lady Dana.
Greetings.
And Paul Weimer as Ningle.
On this island, false and implanted memories and secrets galore. If we do not get some answers, I, Ningle, shall with anger roar.
So, we are now in part 4 of this one. This is our longest one yet, which makes sense because it's the highest complexity mystery yet. So let's take a look at our mystery map. This is a complexity 8 mystery. You currently have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 keys. You have all traveled to the very mysterious and top secret Island Zero, where there is a I'm sorry, I'm distracted by chat messages that aren't on. That's fine. Island Zero, the top secret island where it guards a rift to some sort of alternate dimension, and sometimes enormous giant hostile monsters come out of that rift. And so, in order to protect the rest of the world from those monsters, a team of humans, including psychic teenage pilots, psychically connect to those giant monsters who are willing, are fighting off those evil monsters coming from the rift, or at least, let's say, hostile and destructive. Perhaps the moral judgment might not be appropriate. Hard to say who can, it is what it is. But anyway, one of their pilots, one of Mysterious, this organization that runs this facility, one of their pilots displayed signs of being possessed shortly before inexplicably vanishing from her control pod at the same time that her giant monster also vanished from its enormous containment vat in the facility. This is not usually how it works. So the monsters of Division have been dispatched to try to figure out what is happening before whatever disaster this is ends up destroying the world. So you have uncovered a number of different things. You have found evidence of sabotage, evidence of records being deleted, evidence of false memories. And you have also discovered that apparently a routine part of this whole operation is that pilots and Halamaw class monsters both are occasionally cloned and reimplanted with the identities of the fallen after some battles. And that is something that they have asked you to keep secret from the pilots themselves. And where we last left, you were headed to the treatment center where pilots and Halama who are no longer capable of field duty are treated and housed. And so that's where we left off. But it's going to take a little while to get there. So if anyone wanted to have a discussion or a walk and talk on your way down there, you could do that.
No.
I don't like. I don't like the fact that they're forcing people to do this. I don't care if it. I don't care if they don't remember it happening. I know in my heart that some portion of each individual knows it's happening.
Maybe that's part of the reason why our missing pilot was starting to think that they couldn't handle everything because they realized they had died.
I do think, and I think I need to talk to Celine again. Ningle says that Luna was starting to kind of remember things from her past, call them incarnations. I give a nod to Pandorum. Like, just like you remember your past lives.
Even before I
piece-
woke up, I knew there was something more.
As someone who deals in memories and emotions and so many other complicated things, too many of a good thing can be terrible, nightmarish even.
I understand that, definitely.
It occurs to me that the four of you, including John Deere, will deal with souls and memories, and in one way or the other. I am the odd monster out in some ways, but maybe just to a much lesser extent than eating people or dealing with the dead or dealing with memories or souls or having plenty of your own, as the case may be.
Pandorum is going to turn on the spot, point at Ningle and say, perspective. That is what you provide. And then turn and continue walking.
I stop for a second and think about that, give a nod, and then continue. Perspective.
So I think that you managed. So here's a question. I think certainly you would have been provided with a staff escort to just guide you to the treatment center. But you also, I think, John has certainly studied the systems here enough that I think you probably have the map of the facility pulled up on your little tablet. So probably you could get by without the escort if you wanted. So I guess the question is, are you trying to talk in private, especially considering you've uncovered, like, not only is there evidence of the sabotage of the equipment itself, but also some suggestion that Kaya, the many duplicated scientist who frequently works at the lab, seems to have, there's some evidence that she has been slow walking the research into closing the rift. So are you trying to keep anything secret from other staff personnel?
I think what at least Pandorum would want to do is basically have their chaperone walk behind so that we can at least keep what we're talking about, little quiet, because with just lowered voices.
Mm-hmm.
That way they can be like, yeah, they're not going into any bad place, but we can have a measure of privacy.
I mean, that's not really protocol. I know we're in a very unusual situation right now, but that seems like That sounds to me like not the time to violate protocol. Says this very straight-laced guy in a short sleeve, business shirt and tie, and got, you know,
We have a map. We have, we know how to respect security, and it might be better for you to not necessarily hear about everything that's being discussed, just for your own sanity.
see,
Clearance
you
levels.
had me right up until that last part where you explained why you thought you didn't need me, but then suggested that somehow it would be in my benefit to not know what you're doing. Just
mean-
in the meta here, I'm not suggesting that you as players cannot get rid of this guy. I'm just saying
Yeah.
he
No,
is
but he's
not,
starting to be sticky about it.
yeah. He has not been
This
persuaded by
this guy points to Mirren, is he gets hungry sometimes. And it's easier to avoid his hunger when you keep your distance. Let's just say.
I, you,
Resemble that remark.
I am cut to the quick.
And I'll take 2 points for being petty.
By the way, Myron, do you still look like Luna,
Yes.
the missing
Oh
pilot?
my
you
God.
Yes.
psychically absorbed.
See, that should creep this. That should
Yeah.
creep this guy out.
I
Think anyway.
I just, do you not think I have the control to not eat this young gentleman? I mean, to be fair, I currently have to keep my thoughts in a certain path as we need them for this investigation. So I'm not going to like risk losing those to say perhaps suck all the memories out of his brain like a Slurpee. But maybe afterwards, and he looks at the guy.
I think he's scowling. He doesn't like that.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Allow us
folks,
to test things.
let's
That's all we need.
let's focus on our task here and not torture the poor normies.
Yes.
And I'm going to take 2 darkness points for asking people to
Sure.
follow my instructions.
Oh my God.
So does everyone just continue and not
Yeah.
interfere with this guy
Ah,
following
yeah,
you?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think you
If,
hear
if he
him.
wants to follow us, he can.
Sure.
He's braver than most.
He does. But I think you hear him muttering to himself. Call me and Normie. I work at a top secret facility.
I start fluttering the tips of my hair in his direction. You're more normal than us. It's all right. It's a matter of perspective.
Okay. I guess that's fair.
Yeah.
So in any case, you are making your way down to the treatment ward, which is, it's a ways away from the operation center, partly because it also needs to be a similar size, because this is a facility that is both for former pilots struggling with their mutations, but also where retired and injured Halima are treated. So it needs to be of a size that would allow that.
Mhm.
And so I think you are finding it first to be in some ways very reminiscent of the living quarters area, but certainly there's more of a hospital vibe, right? The hallways have, tile rather than carpet. You see more like, machinery spaced around, and you see just more observation windows and that sort of thing. But then obviously you also pass into an enormous area where there are a couple of these huge vats of liquid, but also a couple of enormous platforms where you see they have transport like mechanisms. So like you could put like a Halima could lay down on this, and it's like one of those big vehicle carriers they use to transport like rockets to the launch pad and stuff like that.
Jurassic Park 2, or yeah, Jurassic Park 2, when they capture the T-Rex and they have that like cage
Hmm.
that they transport it,
Well,
transported in.
sure, but like 10 times that size.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that type of device.
Hmm. Yeah, and so I think you see several of the vats are empty, but you do see that one of them, oddly, most of the vats of liquid that have Halima in them have kind of an amber colored liquid inside with the dark shadow of the creature within. But this one weirdly is like you see a little layer of that at the top, but most of the rest of it is just like vivid purple, like very vibrant purple. Like this is a color that an 8-year-old girl would just love. And whereas most of those vats look very liquid, you get a sense that like whatever this purple stuff that still fills like a good half of this vat seems much thicker than the rest of it. You also see there
Grape
is
Jello.
yeah. Um, you also see that there is one of the other vats that has um, some kind of a creature in it. As you watch, there's sort of a little brief thrashing, and then a burst of bubbles rises up to the top. And as you watch this green vapor emerge from the top of it, a bunch of high-powered fans that have been placed at the top of that vat immediately spin up and start sucking all that vapor up into another like bit of machinery.
Chlorine breather, perhaps?
And Dorum is going to go towards the vat that has the purple
Okay.
on it.
Is someone coming out? I mean, I assume since we have a minder here,
Mm-hmm.
is someone come out to meet us and
Well,
greet
so
us?
so the minder that you've got, whose name is Mitch,
Mitch.
and he says, "Well, I can bring you to anyone that you want to talk to, but it was my understanding that you all wanted to come to the treatment ward."
Yeah. Who runs the treatment ward? Who's the head doctor physician?
Well, we have a couple of the Kaylas, and then just a variety of other, physicians. But I think probably one of the, I think Kayla 17 is probably the closest to in charge of the ward itself. Generally speaking, every patient, so to speak, has its own like team. But
Okay.
currently, we have two Halima currently in treatment, and three pilots, three retired pilots.
Is there? This might be a question for the Kayla. I say, turning to Mitch, but do do the pilots match up with the Halma in question? And and what happened to the Halma of the of the third pilot? If so,
They don't match up. It tends to be uh, as much as I think the psychic connections it would might be the ideal for one pilot and one Halima to stay paired for as long as possible. Sometimes it happens that the Halima is injured or killed in a battle, and the pilot remains behind here in their pod. And some if they are able to recover from the psychic shock of the the loss, they could eventually either retire or pair with another Halima. And then likewise, sometimes we have our pilots forced to retire, and either that's due to mutation or simply because they can't handle the strain anymore. But at that point, the Halima may still be in fighting shape and potentially able to pair with a new pilot. And
I
so
wasn't aware that a Halima could have multiple pilots. How common is that?
it is, as much as it's uncommon to have any pilot pair with any Halima specifically, there are many pilot potentials who come through and wash out simply because they're not able to connect with any Halima. It is less common for a pilot to be able to connect to multiple Halima, but more common for a Halima to be able to connect with multiple pilots.
Has there been a pilot that can connect with multiple Halamas?
It has happened in our history. None of our current active pilots have done that.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And Pandorum is just
Yeah,
So
name for
I
the-
could tell you
I'm
more.
I'm giving you cover so you can go take a look at the
Okay.
tank.
Oh, sure.
Pandorum.
Okay. So
Yeah, I mean, my questions are legitimate, but it also gives Pandorum a chance to sneak
Sure,
away
sure.
from our binder.
okay. So I think that you head over to the vat with the purple in it, and you find where there is a sort of big nameplate, where there's it says Hurricane Morpho, but then there's also written underneath Jammer with like quotation marks, like a nickname. And there are various computer readouts and such. Are you like fussing with the systems, or?
I'm not gonna change anything. Like
Mhm.
I'll look at the status curiously. Then I imagine that it's probably not easily distinguished for
Yeah.
someone who doesn't have technical.
You look for the little clipboard that's hanging on the end of the bed. Uh, status updates. Uh, and what you see is a little indication that says progress in regaining the ability to shape itself is slower than hoped for, but there has been some progress towards being able to move at a slow speed. And
Then
so, like, that's sort of the most recent update on the record there.
and Pandorum is just gonna go up to the tank itself, put his hand to it, and think at it.
Well, there is in fact a custom move in this, which is when you attempt to connect psychically to a Halima.
Oh, okay.
So the move for this is first to say what vulnerable memory you offer to them.
I offer my memory of my second day after awakening, where the first day I could not I could not arrange my awakened memories enough to speak English, but the next day I was able to get myself organized enough for that, and had to explain had to come up with something that my boss at work would believe, and I considered, you know, trying to find the people at Division who who might know more.
Okay. So, with this offer of a vulnerable memory, you should spend the darkness tokens as you would and roll. So in this case, you wouldn't have a specific move to click on.
Yep.
So it's just it's
If you-
2d6 plus however many darkness tokens.
Well, underneath where it has your current darkness tokens, that's spend and roll.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Yep.
Ah,
Okay. Alas, with a 6, that's a miss. So, are you going to allow that miss to stand?
I think I would do I would spend some bonds.
Okay.
Okay, do you have a bond with me?
I have several bonds.
Yeah, but do you have a bond specifically
yes,
with
I
me?
do.
Okay, so if you spend that bond with me, I can give you a +3 instead of a +1.
A +3?
We're family now. When someone spends a bond with you to modify a roll, they choose the bond instead glance +3 or -3. You gain a new, or they gain a new bond with me afterwards. So
Nice.
I will go
you
ahead
can do
and
that
take
and go
that
get a
+3.
perfect hit.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
Might as well use these moves, guys.
So,
Yeah.
so tell me in that context then, Pandorum, what is it about your connection to Ningle that helps you overcome the you're not quite there, but then something about Ningle's connection to you helps you connect to this creature.
So I started out basically, you know, uh, pretty frail, pretty, basically mortal. And in my work with my awakening and working with division, I toughened myself, and it wasn't until that sparring match with Ningle that I felt like I had the capability to match a Halamar in the ferocity of combat. My tactics might not be normal for a Halamar pilot, but I could at least you know work as a team with them.
Nice. All right. So with a +3, that makes 9, and therefore would be a perfect hit. And you drift into the consciousness of this Halama. Your memories become one for a moment, and you need to choose 2 from these 3 things. The Halama comforts and soothes you. You clear 1 condition. The Halama opens their heart to you. Gain a bond with them. And the Halama reveals a truth to you. Ask any 1 question about a key you have, or uncover a key. So you pick two of those 3 things.
Yeah, 2 of the 3.
Mm.
I would like to have it soothe my mind
Okay.
and clear a condition, which I think I will have that be cornered.
Mhm.
And then I would like to uncover a key.
Okay. So what you connect to in there gives you a moment where you feel it living in its own sort of happy memories, where you see it fighting. You see it in, there's an enormous mass of writhing tentacles that has towers above the tree line on Island 0, but then facing it, you see it's an enormous shape-shifting creature. Like in one moment it's sort of wolf-shaped, and in another moment it's growing enormous spines, and then in the next moment it's slipping out of the tentacle's grasp, and it's just completely fluid in its ability to change from one shape to another while always maintaining that same purple color, but with shimmering sparkles every time it moves and flows in its changing shape. But then you see that uh, as a couple of fights go by, you see it suddenly not able to change so quickly, change so fast, and you realize it's now more or less unable to kind of really hold any shape at all. And it's kind of in the vat because it really can't sort of, can barely move on its own now. And it's felt kind of lonely and helpless as a result, but it appreciates you, reaching out to it, and like it, you feel that in your mind, and um, let's see. I think, what key does it give you? Um, yeah. Okay. Um, I think that you. I think that what you find is it is showing you a battle deep underwater. We're hearing sound in the background. I think maybe from someone speaking in the background. Um, we're hearing, so we're seeing a battle take place underwater. And you still see, this jammer um, fighting in its same sort of usual way of being able to flow around, but it's fighting right at the vicinity of the rift itself. Like, and you can watch as you see in, across the ocean floor, you see this enormous wound just in space, just hovering there and shimmering with an awful sort of white, uh, like iridescent, but in a way that kind of hurts to look at. Like, you imagine that the shimmering of all of these other colors is somehow including colors that your brain is not able to see properly or process, and it gives you almost a headache. Even just experiencing this memory vicariously later through your psychic connection, you can feel it giving you a headache now. Just looking at this thing. And it's fighting a creature that has just come out of that rift. And you watch as it's trying to see if it can push that creature back through the rift. But then as it gets closer and closer, you see a strange. I'm trying to think how to describe this. There is, so I think part of your briefing, when you were given the briefing of like this place and this strange creature they found on the ocean floor, that they were trying to experiment on, and awakening it seems to, it roared, and then this rift was there where the monster had been, right? Like, so you had seen that. But I think that there was a moment trying to push this one rift monster back through the rift, that a part of them goes into the rift, and there is a psychic certainty that that original first monster is still there and still screaming. And what that, you just intuitively know what that means is that the scream, the roar that this creature made was not so powerful that it created a permanent tear, the tear is still there, the rift is still there because it is still screaming. And so this is and more to that, you sort of realize that it was after that experience that it started losing its ability, because it felt sapped by that experience, like pushing through even a moment into experiencing the other side of the rift. You could feel it growing its power. And so the key is the undying remains of the first monster that created the rift and its growing power.
And Panorm comes away from that. It's like, Jammer, you will one day dance again. I know it.
You watch as this vat that just has this layer of purple, there's a little bit of a swell and just sort of a little pseudopod goes against the side of the glass and then sort of sinks back down.
And then I will go back to the group.
All right.
Well, I'll go to the other tank just to see the name of it. And,
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I'm not going to try and connect to it.
Okay. The other one has the name Prisma Latitude, and the picture of it shows that it looks basically like a giant chameleon monster. And I think the most recent status update says still producing 500 cubic feet of chlorine gas per hour.
Wow. That's weird. Okay.
And then as you stand there, there's another bubbles and all the fans to suck it up, because that would be bad.
The system I'm glad is working, and I hope it didn't stop working when the power went out.
Now,
So the
it
group,
seems to be one of the less important systems that went out when it. I mean, that's the least of their troubles.
Yeah.
well, you get, given that in the time I was there, it went off twice.
That's a lot of gas.
Yeah, that's a lot of gas, and it would be probably be very hard to remove from the general atmosphere if it was if it leaked.
Yeah.
Well,
And so I think so I think while you were doing that, the rest of you had been trying to kind of keep Mitch's attention on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think he had kind of explained, so there's not really like one person who's in charge any more than Fletcher Payne is kind of in charge of the whole facility, but then each inpatient resident has sort of a team devoted to them, and starts to turn around to where he's going to like point at where Jammer is. What do you do to get him to not turn around?
I grab his arm. I'm not quite sure that counts as violence, and say, why don't you have us talk to the pilots first, because the pilots are likely to be much more able to communicate with us than Halimar. Although out of the corner of my eye, I can see what Pandorm's doing, and it's a lie, but
So like,
I'm a monster.
yeah, you say that, and then the cut is over to Pandorm with his hand against the jar, and his eyes rolled back up in his head. It's like, oh yeah, sure, it's a little more comfortable in there too. Although I obviously if you're going to speak to the pilots, be sensitive that they're here because they are not able to, continue in their active duty and have not as yet been able to, control or deal with what's happening to them in a way that they allows them to, be somewhere else. So just be sensitive, like, if you would going to it's a hospital.
I understand.
And so I think he, leads you down what is clearly kind of like a service hallway. Like, it has just kind of little observation windows above, sort of a common area. So it's sort of designed for you to be able to kind of just observe what's happening down there without having to like disrupt everything. And you see that there are 3 pilots down there, and he says, so I mentioned how the pilots and the Halama here aren't necessarily one-to-one, but we do have one example of that. And Thomas Petrov was Jammer's pilot, but as you can see, and he's I think that there's actually a curtain drawn, and there's a lot of like their activity in there. He's and you're hearing. Trying not to make this too dark. There's a lot of activity in there, and he's saying I don't know that he's going to be up for much talking right now because somewhat like his Halama, so Jammer used to be able to change shape, but now he can't really control his shape, and somehow that property has kind of melded itself onto Thomas, and he periodically finds his parts of his body stretching or squishing, almost like his bones occasionally decide not to be solid anymore. And usually we have we have fitted sort of a suit for him that controls that, but it was briefly non-operational during the power outage, and so they're trying to help him get back into shape, so to speak. And then you see 2 other pilots. One, you see what looks like a very old woman, like 95 or higher, who is just sitting in a chair watching a TV with some kind of a cartoon on it, perhaps some kind of an anime where where teens pilot giant robots. And he says, Katarina Harris. I guess I can explain simply is she is 19 years old. And so that is why she's here. And last we have Dular Banerjee, and you see that there is another. He looks like he's maybe 21 or so, and he is also watching the TV, but he's got his hands in some sort of a machine. And as you kind of come a little closer, the angle is better, and you can see he has growing out of his fingers just enormous sharp claws, and he's got them in like a grinding machine. It's like grinding them down. And he says, Mitch says, so he those claws grow at a rate of 4 inches a day. So he's got to keep them maintained pretty regularly right now. And so we're trying to figure out if there's some sort of a medication that will control that enough that he doesn't need access to industrial grinders a couple of times a day. So I think they're someone in particular you want to talk to? I mean, obviously we're trying to figure out what's going on. So if you think they'll be able to help.
Yeah, I'll look at my companions. We'll talk to them and see their stories. I'll go over to let's go to Katerina first. I'll go to Katerina first. I don't know what my companions are doing, but I'm gonna go slither over to Katerina.
Okay. All right. So I think she, uh, she's watching TV, and I think she does not look away from the TV as you approach.
I'll clear my throat.
Okay.
Maybe speak.
Sure. So what is everyone kind of going down there, or are you letting Ningle kind of handle this one solo? I mean,
Mingle
I'm
the face.
keeping my eyes on him, but
Okay.
sorry, I'm a little distracted. I have a kitten climbing on
oh
me.
no.
Aw.
Okay. Well, so in any case, we'll assume that Ningle is kind of the only one really approaching for the moment, unless you tell me different. So I think when you ask, can we speak? And she kind of looks annoyed for a second, and then looks up at you, and you're just like, oh, uh, who are you?
I am Ningle. I am from Division. We are here to investigate Luna's disappearance. And I thought I might ask you some background questions if you may.
She kind of looks longingly back at the TV and says, I guess so. Just a second. And she kind of takes a moment and fumbles with a remote control and then pauses the cartoon. What?
Tell me about tell me about yourself and your experiences.
Well, my name is Katerina Harris, and I am a pilot of Halamar here at Island Zero. And as soon as they figure out how to reverse this, then I'll be back in action.
What caused you to age prematurely? A rift? A monster?
Well, there was it is hard to know exactly because all of the missions are a little different. The monsters that come out are different every time, right? And
Of course.
there was one fight in particular where it was an extra difficult monster, and I had to be rescued by one of the other pilots. And it's a little embarrassing, but when I woke up in the in the treatment ward afterwards, they told me I had been knocked unconscious during the fight, and I realized, looking at myself in the mirror, that I had little wrinkles and a couple of little gray hairs in my hair, and I was a little surprised to see those things, and it seemed as though perhaps it was just the strain of being a pilot. It is actually very difficult, but I'm proud to do it. But it seemed like those sorts of wrinkles and gray hairs just kept coming, and it was a couple of days later that I tried reaching out to my Halamar, and I could no longer connect with her, and so they had to take me officially off active duty. But I'm still holding out hope that they can find a way to reverse it.
So it happened over a couple of days after your fight.
Oh, this has
This
been
aging.
No, it has been several months, but still it was significant. It's not like normal speed after all, but
So you're
it was
continuing
not
to
just.
age?
Well, I think we all do that, don't we?
I give a chuckle. Yes.
But yes, I think that. I mean, I'm not really aging any more than we all do, but obviously my body is looking like it's aging faster, and I'm sure that the scientists here will figure it out soon.
I would hope so. What happened with what happened to your Halimar?
Well, right now he's unpaired. I think they're waiting for me to be ready again.
And what is your Halimar's name?
Um, I didn't come up with Halima names for all of them. It is
Sorry.
no, that's all right. It is tsunami. Tsunami metric.
No, I mean nothing. Did you ever fight with Luna? When you were on active duty, that is, of course.
Well, only just once. I was told she was the one that rescued me. I knew she was being deployed, but I guess I was knocked out before she could get there. But then I'm told that she pulled me to, well, I guess, it's hard to explain, when you're piloting, it sort of feels like you are the Halimar there actually in the fight, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
when I say pulled me to safety, obviously, like my body was still just in the pod, but
But your psychic connection,
yes,
for all
that's
intents and purposes, you were
yeah,
there.
yes. So in her Halimar, Luna pulled Tsunami Metric to safety.
But somehow out of that connection, out of that fight, this condition has been imposed upon you.
Well, it's something that happens to all pilots eventually. Obviously, I had hoped that it would be, I would have more time, and I still think that I'm just as sharp as I was if I could just get my body a little less frail. But
Understand?
all pilots eventually retire because this
Of the
this
the
work
drift.
causes the mutations, and I think there are certainly those who have it worse than me.
Is it in your experience that every pilot that retires has a mutation?
Well, that's generally speaking the only reason that we would retire, short of being killed.
Okay.
That's not entirely true. I suppose there are some that quit or are washed out before they develop a mutation, but usually that is considered, it's kind of thought of as a failing.
Hmm. I see. Thank you so much for your time, and I do hope they find the Kayas and the other staff here find a way to reverse this condition upon you so that you can get back out there where you belong.
Yes, Kaya is so sweet, and she says she's hard at work every day on finding a way to undo this. So I'm just, trying to pass the time until then.
Thank you. And I withdraw for a moment because I think my companions just let me take forward on this, and
Sure.
would someone else like to talk to the gentleman afflicted with the claws, or am I the face of this?
I
Um,
think that I've gotten all the details that I'm expecting here, but somebody else might.
You're
somebody else.
expecting his details to be similar, and I think we're
Yeah.
probably thinking on similar lines as to what's going on.
yeah.
Well,
Where
just as a
Pandora's still not
reminder.
back, is he? Yeah.
Well, so Pandora, I think by this, like, enough time would have passed that Pandorum could have caught up to the group if that's what Pandorum was trying to do.
I think Pandora would have gotten to the pilot ward, and I um when and asked around, and I found that the pilot of Jammer is there, and
Hmm.
tried to see if he could speak with him.
Okay. I think that you can sort of make your way down there, and I think when you're not just in the the operation, the observation level, you see that behind sort of the curtain that they have drawn, you see what looks like a young man who is currently dealing with uh, one leg and the opposite arm that seem to have almost melted like they were made of silly putty. And there is a team of doctors around him who are very carefully, a little bit at a time, applying slight little, what look like maybe tiny little electric shocks, moving along the length of the limb very slowly, like fraction of an inch at a time. But as they do, it seems like he sort of he sort of winces a little bit with each one, but you can see each time they do it, slightly more of his limb looks solid. And so he is laying back on the bed with kind of a grimace, um, looking like this doesn't feel good, but it's it's like, oh. So that's
Yeah.
kind of what you see there.
I'm not someone I want to interrupt right now.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think Pandora will kind of just observe that
Hmm.
for, and honestly, basically wait until someone, uh, and probably do it until someone comes and gets him,
Okay.
notices that he's there.
All right. So did someone want to go and talk to Katerina, or not Katerina then, but Dular?
I'll look at my three companions if they want to take a swing at this.
I'm feeling we're going to get kind of more of the same.
I mean,
Mhm.
it's entirely up to all of you. A reminder too that you are now at 8 keys, and you could at any time you want begin the unlock Doom's
Mhm.
door roll.
I think
Feel-
there's an advantage to giving it a go, even though we haven't got like bonuses. We're at parity,
Hmm.
but I think talking as a player,
In the
Yeah.
meta
makes
sense.
it makes sense to give it a try early, especially since we've got lots of ticks on the clock to go.
Hmm.
Mhm.
We might get lucky and hit it right off.
Yeah.
Um, and from an in-character perspective, I don't know about you, but John has got some pretty strong ideas about what's going on here.
Yeah.
So I think we should in game we should find a place where we can hash this all out
Sure.
Yeah, yeah.
and do this.
So
So-
this area has a big, it has like lots of big open spaces, right?
Hmm.
I'm going to summon up an isolation booth
Okay.
that will block out any external influences, magical or technological, for us to go inside and speak freely.
Please say that
What-
it looks like the code of silence.
I made that joke last session, Jason.
Yeah,
I-
but yeah, we've got a cone of silence with an anti-magic field attached.
What I was gonna ask is when a servant of death creates an isolation chamber, is it called a Scaraday cage?
Oh, ow.
Ba-dum-bum.
Yes, that's exactly what it's called.
Oh.
I knew it. I knew it.
So
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. I
So-
think as Pandora would notice the pure black cone show appear and be like, "Oh, that's where they are,"
Hmm.
and go and find
and there's it's made out of that like wrought iron with all the spikes and gothic frills all over it. And there's a pair of gates that lead inside, and there's this kind of mist that intertwines within the bars. Yeah, sure. Scaredy Cage.
Right.
Um, well, if Mitch thinks he can handle this, seeing this, then maybe he's as brave as he thinks it is.
Well, I think I was assuming Mitch is not invited.
No,
into
but
this
he's gonna
very-
see
No.
the thing.
Oh
That's
yeah,
my
no,
point.
well, I mean, I think that is within the realm of like, well, I guess as long as they stay in there, and
All right,
and
so-
I think he stands there awkwardly, wondering like, if
Make sure we're
if
not
I went-
disturbed.
Well, if I, yeah, and,
Then
yeah, okay.
pizza.
And then I think yeah, there's like there's a moment where he's like, can I leave them long enough to get a
Pizza.
chair?
We want
Oh,
pizza.
pizza. Oh,
Pizza.
well,
Several
mean-
pizzas.
I can't promise anything. The kitchen was pretty low on the list of systems that they're rebooting, but I'll see what I can do.
Not going to
Okay.
be New York pizza
Yeah.
guys, but we'll do our best.
So, as a reminder, both to players and anyone watching, the way that this move works is that we've got the mystery clock, the doomsday clock here. You've got the mystery facets, which include the harbinger, which is the person or persons theoretically who are potentially going to open the door of power, which is another facet. This could be something they're doing accidentally or on purpose. The door of power is going to be some source of great power or damage or destruction, which if opened would cause a big problem. The other two remaining facets of this mystery include the rift itself, that all the rift class monsters are coming out of, and last but not least, the possession and disappearance of Luna Nakahara and Hydra Omicron. The keys...
Remember, guys, draw your lines in red.
Yes.
Needs to be red.
Well, see,
string.
but I feel like the whiteboard that would be in John Deere's would only have black markers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
But in any case, the keys that you've got, the pod, you found evidence that the pod was sabotaged. You found evidence of a worm that was erasing records of a pilot, apparently, even though no one could remember who that pilot would have been. You found messages that indicate Luna was afraid of something that she didn't tell anyone about. You found that there were, you found out about the clones of Luna and her monster. You found out people have been trying to open rifts for a long time. You found out that the power from the rift kind of allows corruption to bleed into the world with it. There's evidence of false memories, and then, of course, the remains of the original monster and its growing power. And so the rule is that every one of those keys needs to connect to one of the four facets, and each facet needs to have at least one key connect to it. But that is sort of just the mechanics. Broadly speaking, what you're trying to do is say, what do you think's happening here, and what do you need to do to stop it?
All right. Since I called this, I'm going to draw the first few lines. I've drawn, people have been trying to open the rifts for a long time to the Harbinger. I think that the existence of the rift and or the ability to open new ones is is actually, I think that that belongs to the door of power, actually.
Yeah, that's what I would.
So, and likewise, power from the rifts is harnessed. The false memories. Oop, the false memories, I think, are not part of the. That is something that's that's something the Harbinger is doing in order to accomplish this, but it's not actually part of the.
I
Thought?
think that the false memories and the erased data from the unknown pilot both are for the Harbinger.
Yeah.
Part of their
that is
plan.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it seems possible that Luna was disappeared similarly to um, the previous. There's another pilot who's disappeared, and that this one may have been a botched. Was not as completely disappeared as the previous one.
I think the reason why we've had these clones of Luna, as I've been going through their memories.
Well, we already know okay, you're saying beyond the need to keep having a pilot and a monster after they're killed. Is there a
Yes.
purpose beyond that?
I think it's to basically bolster their forces. They're kind of losing. They don't have enough pilots.
Well,
So if they can
yeah.
make other pilots by using these memories, and maybe they kill Luna to free those memories. Now they're just data that they can now put into these new clones. That's why they keep taking these memories and why they're deleting these fears or removing these things so people can't find them, is so that they can continue to put these things in, right? Because we've seen that they start remembering these past lives, or maybe that is a side effect of
Mm-hmm.
what the Harbinger's doing. Because we wouldn't have people like the boss if they could just have an infinite army of pilots, and good ones to boot.
I think I wonder if the pod being sabotaged was an attempt by Luna to
Oh.
basically allow herself to die. And that if she did go away, if she fell in battle, this would allow her to finally rest.
Okay, so you don't think that one's actually related to um the Harbinger at all?
No, I think
Okay,
yeah, sabotage was an attempt, basically a suicide attempt by Luna, and it allowed for her possession to take place.
That conversation we had with Catalina makes me think that the original monster's power is clearly what's powering this rift and continuing to power this rift. Is continuing to be the battery for
Of
this
course.
for the rifts. And we don't have the Kayas as the keys, of course, but the Kayas clearly either know this or and
I'm
are slow
wondering.
walking, or they're still trying to make use of it.
I'm wondering if maybe if the if the monster's scream ends, if
Will
that
the rifts close? Yeah.
the rift will close and the original monster will return.
No, the original monster is still there.
Well, it will return physically.
You mean if the scream stops, it returns to life?
It returns to reality.
Hmm.
okay.
As a threat,
So-
rather than just being like this force ghost of a screen.
Okay, so do you think that okay. I think that the idea that if the monster stops screaming, the rift will close is a good one. How does that relate to the Harbinger who's trying to harness what's going on here? I don't think our Harbinger wants to close the rift.
No,
think
the
the
Harbinger wants
Harbinger's,
no.
It's to keep
it's
it
a
open,
yeah.
learn about it, and open more rifts for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, no,
Um,
Gain its power.
yeah, it wants that
Yeah.
screen to continue to keep that rift
at
open.
least until
Maybe.
it knows how to make the scream itself.
Right. In which case, yeah, then it can go hang. But it's basically
Right.
using that screen.
Maybe
But
the
I think that ultimately our best candidate for who's doing that is the Kayas. I mean, we haven't seen any evidence that they've got a connection to each other, some kind of, twin telepathy towards a thing going on, but that's not out of the question.
I it
And then they
might
could be operating in cahoots with each other.
I'm wondering if they could have the copies could have a subtle psychic connection that basically they are all working together. Maybe not in a way where like if you were to ask them, they would say they're not, this isn't something that they're doing because they don't realize they're doing it.
Oh, well, let's put it this way. If they don't realize they're doing it, then we're going to be causing trouble for someone who's innocent. So how
I
about,
mean, like they at some at
do you
some
really,
level they are doing it,
think,
but
do you really think that something serious enough for us to get sent out would be happening inadvertently?
I'm not saying it's inadvertent. I'm saying that they're like a piece of each one that is being controlled by the greater whole
Well, I'm
that
glad
is
you agree with me then.
influencing their actions.
Yeah.
Yes, like the individual Kayas are essentially innocent, but that piece.
But so the gestalt of the Kayas is what you're saying is the enemy, not an individual Kaya per se.
Yeah.
They're fingers of the hand of the harbinger, not the harbinger itself, right?
It could be that that they are a manifestation of the will of the original monster.
They are connected to the rift that keep coming out of it.
Yeah.
But so mechanically, Christiana,
Mm-hmm.
when we are ready to make this roll,
We would
how would we do we like if we're like, okay, what I'm going to do now is sever the link between the Kayas that I assume is there, and that's where the roll would come in. Is
Well,
that how does
no.
we,
So
because
so
in the past we've had the like, oh, you're the killer, we're gonna go confront them.
yeah.
But this one's a little more complicated.
Right. So I think I would like a little bit more of like, so mechanically, you have satisfied the conditions on the little mystery map here with the keys connected to the harbor, the facets and so on.
Yeah.
And I think you've got a lot of the pieces there. But what I would kind of like is the thesis statement, so to speak, of who's doing what and why, and how would you go about
Okay.
ending the situation.
Okay. I'm adding some text to the notes section here. The Kayas are using the rift to expand their own power. Since they are connected to it.
Yeah, the rift makes more of them.
Right. Every time a new Kaya comes out, they become more power.
And also, I mean, their multiplicity and their skills have made them essential to the base. They've got a cushy gig here, and they're pushing it to the point of harbinger class problems.
They're essential to the base and mysterious. Can't afford to look too closely.
I mean, I bet
They
if we
are
tried to ask Fletcher,
integrated into every aspect of its function. They, when a pilot gets too close to the truth, the Kayas disappear them.
Or try to.
for
You-
the, yeah, for the
Uh,
previously, for the for the mysterious, for the, um, previous pilot, this functioned perfectly, nearly perfectly. For Luna, it was not quite so well so well covered up. So that is my theory there. Is there something you feel missing, Christiana?
Maybe just a thought on why do you think it, like, what went wrong with Luna? Why did it not?
Maybe her growing
For
awareness
me,
of what was going on prevented.
Well, no, her growing awareness of what was going on is why she was disappeared.
right. But
Why?
But it may have also given her a little bit of a mental fortitude to.
I
I
think,
You know,
yeah.
Or maybe
Elaine, her twin,
yeah, I think there's a
Oh,
connection
yeah.
with Celine as to
Solid men-
why things went south this time as opposed to other pilots where this clearly has happened before. I think her connection to her twin made her latent skills kind of made this go pear-shaped.
it also could be there's a lot of mental connections and psychic abilities here. A lot of this, there could have been some cross bleed. Like a lot of these memories and things through these connections could have started to bleed over to her twin, and that kind of made things, like you say, go pear shaped.
and
Yeah.
yeah, and that like Luna and her twin are kind of the Kayas in minuscule.
Right. There's clear some resentment from the other pilots to Celine, but she's absolutely as essential as Kaya is to keeping this base running. So there is I think there's an unspoken Cold War here between the Kayas and Celine. And
Even if they
if
may
the
not be
Kayas were to make a
available.
move, they would have to make a move against the next step of their plan. Obviously, would be to neutralize Luna's sister.
Perhaps.
She's the greatest threat to their power.
So I think then that that is sufficient to make the roll, and then based on
Result.
the result, we will decide kind of what happens next. So the roll is you have 8 keys on a complexity 8, so you're rolling 2d6 straight.
Okay. I'm going to do that since I've been kind of
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Go for it.
7.
Okay, so a 7. The door remains hidden. The theory was the wrong one. Every PC marks 1 ruin. In addition, precious time is lost and the doomsday clock ticks forward.
don't we leave the lines?
Nope.
No.
No.
All the
No.
lines
No.
are
Okay.
It does not necessarily rule out that you might eventually connect the same key to the same facet. But what it means is that that theory must not be right. So, whoever it is, whatever the door of power is, whatever's going on, like there might be elements that are right, but it was not assembled into a complete picture that would allow you to stop it from happening is the key there, right? Like, because there could be individual pieces of that where maybe this is right, but it's for a different reason or something like that, where,
Right.
What you had thought would stop this from happening didn't turn out to be right. So here, I guess the doomsday clock is going to tick, but first let's play out a little bit. What is it that you were planning to do with that theory? Like what was going to be your next step? Like you had come to the conclusion, you agreed, we think this is what's happening, and then you did what?
I
You
think
you
onto Fletcher Payne.
Or was it John D? You were thinking about cutting off the Kayas
Yeah,
for
I was
something
gonna
else?
was going to kind of use soul magic to sever whatever connection the Kayas might have had to each other.
Okay.
And what I'm thinking is, he produces this elaborate machine, antennas and Jacob's ladder sparks and all kinds of things like that. He turns it on, and nothing happens.
Okay.
There
Yeah,
is
that
Well, no,
sounds good.
no, I'm going to push back on that a little bit.
Well, okay.
I think that what's going to happen is you're going to sever the connection between the Kayas. That's going to happen, even though that is not going to actually stop what it is that's happening from happening. So I think, well, or if you like, we can have it be a roll instead of just assuming that it would definitely
Okay.
work.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that makes more
Um,
sense. I think if we thought that was, if it was happening, we would make it be a roll. So let's have an Unleash the Dark, or wait, no, what's the
Power through darkness.
yeah, like the straightforward one is, I always switch which one is the extreme one. Unleash the Dark is the regular one. So yeah, I think
yeah.
that's
Okay.
so and with the goal, like what you're trying to do is to sort of locate whatever harmonic frequency the Kayas are connected on and sever it.
Right. Right. That's a
Okay.
6, which is a miss.
Okay. That I think that what happens is, this is prior to even us doing the doomsday clock thing. I think what happens is your machinery, your like the displays, it's like trying to isolate like a radio frequency or an electromagnetic wave. You're seeing a lot of noise and you're trying to isolate the different patterns and pull out just the one little thing so that you can start to jam it.
Hmm.
But I think what you see is that you're finding that there does seem to be a connection with them, but as you start to try to jam it, all of your equipment starts vibrating at that frequency, and
Uh-huh.
it is unable to eliminate this frequency that's happening, and it all explodes. I think I'm going to require you to take a condition.
Okay.
Can you afford a condition?
I can afford one. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think you're going to take that one.
Uh-huh.
Um, and
Acted.
yeah, and so I think as that happens, we're gonna. So this tick of the doomsday clock is another intrigue where we imagine on the TV show we're cutting away from our characters for a moment, and we see flashes of an enormous rift monster trapped under cruel tools, given more power than it can handle. It tries to scream, but is unable to. And a dispassionate voice speaks out, too whispered to be recognizable. My lord, soon the children will receive the same power. The psychic resonance will make sure of it. And then, you know what I'm going to do? Because there's room to spare, is I'm going to tick the doomsday clock again.
Oh,
Oh boy.
wow,
Now the
that's
pressure's on.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, more
And
dungeon.
so what you all hear, Eve, were you still in your little isolation booth, or?
I think in order to do this, we needed to be outside
Yeah, I
it
think, yeah.
because we're
Mhm.
transmitting.
I think that you hear at first the sound, like of crashing and cracking glass, and then liquid, and then you look through a nearby window which overlooks the Halamont area of the treatment ward, and you see that both of the full vats, but also all of the others have shattered and are just like everything's spilling everywhere. And you see all of the display screens are they're flashing with something that is just it kind of hurts everyone to look at. But I think Pandorum, every screen is currently flashing with the light that you remember seeing in Jammer's memory of what the rift looks like in person.
It's the rift.
Boy.
On screens, it's the rift.
So klaxons start to sound. People are running around again. What do you do?
Head for the doors, and
Mhm.
Mrs. Peel, we're needed.
Where are you running to?
Um, are there exit doors in this? In the
I mean, there's doors to all sorts of places.
Yeah,
It
but I'm
depends where
thinking-
you're trying to go.
yeah. Toward the danger. so to
Like
speak.
towards where the vats are breaking.
I mean, sure, yeah, you
Uh,
can go
yes.
there. I'm
Yes,
just
toward the problem.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm just needing you to give me specific
Yeah.
details of what you're at. What are you moving towards? So a lot of crazy stuff is happening, but you are going towards where you can see that the vats have broken open. You can see that in the you're still up on one of the catwalks, I think, to start.
Mhm.
But you can see down below, you can see that there is several feet worth of this amber liquid has like flooded the floor of this enormous hangar. You can also see the enormous chameleon-like shape of Prisma Latitude that is laying down and kind of crawling slowly, but then sort of lurches, heaves over, and then lets out an enormous rippling belch, and you see just green gas
Pandora
emerging
would
from
crap.
like to try and contain that gas
Yeah?
with basically a time bubble and funnel it towards the exhaust fans.
Sure. That's good because there were some people who were near enough by that cloud was going to envelop them. So let's see a roll.
Man, me shooting in the dark. Spin 2 darkness.
Okay, that's a perfect hit. So I think, yeah, you managed to capture the cloud before it has spread too far. You sort of freeze it into a bubble, and the people there that were on that nearby catwalk are able to run out of the way so that they wouldn't be enclosed by it.
I imagine I kind of just like it kind of punctures in the direction of the vents
Mhm.
and
Sure.
sprays out that way.
You can see that the fans are kind of, they look like they've been like warped a little bit. So a couple of them are not blowing properly, but it seems like it's funneling some of it up anyway.
Better
You
than
can see,
nothing.
you can see also that Jammer is this enormous I guess slime is like a thick, gooey, almost like congealed gravy is the consistency that we're looking at here. Of this purple is sort of slurped over everything surrounding that enormous enormous shattered vat, and you don't see anything that obviously like there's you watched them break, like you saw them shattered, but it's still not entirely clear what it was that did it. Um, but then again, you also know that John Deere just like you don't. I'm not saying John Deere did it with his machine. I'm saying that what did that to John Deere's machine may have also been what's doing
Yeah.
this. Um,
Right.
so the and also I think you see. Well, I guess here's the question. So at the moment, things are still happening. What are people doing?
Uh,
So right now the gas is just contained, right?
Well,
It's
so yes, the Halama that apparently belches chlorine gas, that that one belch has been contained, and it
okay.
seems to be crawling around. You're not sure what it's trying to do. It looks like it's trying to, like, it looks disoriented, like maybe it had been asleep, but now that it's out, it looks like it's climbing up to try to go somewhere. Um, you see various, slurping and bubbling and some waving from the purple, but not at all clear what else is happening. And
Oh,
all sorts of, like, every display screen is flickering with this iridescent white that hurts to look at.
okay. Um, I'm going to, well, since I had that realization that memories might be a thing,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try to connect to the one with chlorine.
Okay, yeah, that one was
And they
Prisma Latitude.
Prisma Latitude, just like to see if I can, at least if nothing else, calm it down enough
Mm-hmm.
that it's not
Sure.
going to go round up all the way around.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So as before, when Pandorum did it to
uh,
try to connect psychically, you can reach out. And what vulnerable memory do you offer it?
um, I'll offer it the memory of the day I drowned
Okay.
as a mortal and then kind of woke up as not. Um, and that will to the the, the will to keep going that pushed me through the transition.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So with that held in your mind, spend your darkness tokens and roll. This move, incidentally, is called "Hello, Little Monster."
Yeah. So but I just choose any move because there's not one in here
Well,
on my sheet.
I
So
think.
if you go to your darkness tokens, it has spend and roll.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
And
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I'll just spend one.
Okay. Well, so a 7 is a miss.
All right. I will spend a bond with. Look at my bonds again. I just had them.
Mhm.
I'll take one of my bonds with Mirren in terms of the, again, with the ability just to power through things.
Okay.
And kind of ignore, in a way, ignore the consequences to get what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Slightly reckless.
All right.
Yeah.
So, well, that transforming your 7 to an 8 makes it a perfect hit. So, as when Pandorum did it, you choose 2 of the following. The Halama comforts and soothes you, clear one condition. The Halama opens their heart to you, gain a bond with them. Or the Halama reveals a truth to you, ask any one question about a key you have, or uncover a key.
Um, I'm going to ask it to like reveal something to me.
Okay.
Like its own uh, that second option, and then
Well, opens their heart to you, gain a bond
opens
with them. Is
okay, opens their heart and gets a bond, and then get a new key.
okay. Okay. So, the thing that you immediately get from it as you connect to it is its current fear of two different things. One is, oh no, I'm out of my containment. My burps will kill people if I don't get out of here. And so you see it trying to like crawl to where its burps won't spew chlorine gas all over people it cares about. And so there's that piece, but there's also a bit of its fear that's almost more kind of a panic of, oh no, it's happening, it's happening. And the key, as you sort of probe into that piece of it, let's see. Gosh. Let's see. Yeah, I think that it shares with you a dream that it had about a strange magic ritual that was being done by people it couldn't quite see or identify. But it seemed like what these people did is they had trapped a rift monster and used magic of some kind to open a tiny rift and used that to steal powers and abilities and strength from the rift monster and put it into a person.
Okay.
And so that's the key is strength and abilities stolen from rift monsters. And so what you get from it is that it had that dream that felt to it and to you like it was like a vision of something that either was really happening or would happen. And it believes now that that is what is currently happening. Like
Okay.
all of this chaos is because that is happening right now.
Okay. Well, I'm going to approach it and start weaving my hair into a fine mesh and see if I like hold out my hand with like, I got this, and see if I can basically create a mask over its face, and then I'm going to be stuck with it for a little while, but feed off of the chlorine.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
You can eat chlorine?
Well, she
Well,
can eat
we'll
lots of
see.
things.
It's not
Yeah.
rotten durian, so
Yeah. So
Yeah, it's not rotten durian.
yeah. So certainly the gnawing edge of hunger is what your default move. And so
Yep.
here's the thing: are you like jumping down or like using your hair to swing down onto it? Like, are you literally sort of attaching yourself to it?
Yeah, I'll end up. I figure it'll end up if it's well, depending on the shape. If basically I can ride on its shoulders and wrap my hair towards the like
Mhm.
the front of wherever the mouth is.
Yeah.
So a very different sort of riding a riding a kaiju that than we were thinking of, but
Yeah.
basically kind of making a fine mesh out of my hair to go kind of like in front of both of us so that
Mm-hmm.
to absorb the chlorine.
Right, great. So let's see the move of so you've already kind of described how your body transformed to make this
Yep.
mask and like absorb the chlorine. So you're not even just like holding it in, you're like trying to like filter it.
Tableize it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, filter it in whatever I can use on a chemical level for my own body, I'll use
Okay.
and
Yeah.
convert it to something like any byproduct can convert to
Right.
something not non-harmful.
Yeah, so let's see that
Right.
gnawing edge of hunger. When you surrender to the hunger
Two.
within you, describe how your body transforms and what you feed on.
All right, so I'll spend 2 darkness. Oh,
Oh boy,
Oh my
disastrous
God.
success, and that's a
Well-
13. That's going to be tough to try to
yeah,
reduce down.
and
Do-
well, one of my impulses, the impulse I did choose today was the let my power go in the worst at the worst opportunity.
Mhm.
Oh, that's
So
tempting.
might as well just
Live it.
Uh-huh.
live
So,
with it.
yeah. So on an 11 plus, your hunger grows deeper, edged with endless teeth as your humanity slips further away. Choose one. Ask the keeper what the harbinger within you screams for. Gain 1 bond with what the darkness demand of you. If you give in to the harbinger, clear 1 condition. Or give in to the worst of your hunger and go too far, inviting chaos and terror. Name a new fear you have and create or replace a hunger condition to reflect this.
I'm going to go with the first one. Ask the keeper what the harbinger within me screams for.
Mhm.
Gain the bond. Um
I think.
and
Oh, yeah.
Okay, not gonna give in to the harbinger.
So let me tell you what it
Mhm.
is that like the what you feel as you're trying to connect with this is that for a it works, but B
Works a little
what
too
you
well.
realize in doing this is with the psychic connection that you've made with this enormous creature, and then the sort of mask over its face that you've made, you realize you could right now, Venom style, kind of become this creature.
Oh my God.
And it would be you, only the size of a building,
Oh my God.
and with God knows what other power still resides within this thing.
Oh. Oh.
Imagine what you could eat when your
If
head
I
is
was
the
that-
size of a subway car.
Yeah.
That is what the harbinger
Yeah.
screams for. Now, giving into it does not necessarily make this a permanent could never come back situation, but it would
Yeah.
mean let's try that. You know what I mean?
Actually,
I mean, you can still resist. It's up to you. Yeah.
No, I just realized that, you know what? If we're going to end up having to fight more things on this scale with the psychic bond, I'm
Mhm.
going to try to communicate if I can envelop him like a suit. We both should be able to like make it safe for everyone. And
Well, okay.
I'm gonna try to. Oh, okay. So I would be the symbiote in this case. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Took me a moment to.
Yeah. You're so.
So I don't want to actually. So I want to give in. I
Mhm.
not like, and try to sort myself out later.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to override his personality.
Well, I think that what would be happening by default is not like a permanent thing,
Mm,
but it would be, okay, let me take over. But here's the thing, the Halima are used to that. That's what happens when they, like,
right,
it's
right.
sort of a team effort, but a big part of what happens when they connect to the pilot is that they are sort of letting the pilot take control.
Right. Okay,
And
so
so you feel it sort of just settling down, like waiting for you to go ahead and take over. Like,
okay,
and so it's not destroyed, it's just,
okay.
you know,
It,
hanging back
it
while
Wait,
you,
yeah, it's going into a state it knows very well,
yeah,
even
yeah.
if I don't.
Right. Now, so the one part of it that of what you just said that I wanted to go back to a little bit is ability to make things safe for everyone. That's kind of not really what the Harbinger in you wants, though.
I know, but this was the lie I was telling myself.
Yeah. Okay, I see.
This
I
is a
see.
lie I'm telling myself and trying to like
Mhm.
in communicating the okay, if I take over, we can make everyone safe.
Mhm.
This is a lie. This I
Yeah.
deep
No,
down I know this is for the hunger, but I don't want.
see
I'm
that
still struggling with accepting that right now.
there's a thing that I really want to reference here, but I think it's technically a spoiler for like the Spider-Man 2 video game. I mean, and so I'm going to refrain, but it just like, yeah, but like
Oh,
it's that it's
I haven't played the game. I won't be, but I know other
well, but
people
yeah,
would be.
theoretically other people
But
might be
I
watching.
know
So
enough of the
yeah, so
general idea of Venom and
yeah.
the
So
symbiote
to
suit to
be
go,
sure, yeah, to be sure, this I think everyone can kind of follow the logic of this is so you really want to do something, and this is the rationalization you're telling yourself,
yeah,
right? And besides, there's probably lots of things that you could eat first before it starts being really like a tough moral call.
yeah.
So maybe you'll be satisfied by then. That's how it usually works, right?
Yeah. Usually I fill up a little bit and then I'll be fine for the time being.
Yeah. So I want. So we're starting with uh, a 300-foot chameleon lizard monster, and Lady Dana has just wrapped herself around its head, and I think as all of you watch her going down to help it, all of a sudden she has sort of like enveloped its head, and it almost like it's wearing some kind of a mask. And I think as it turns to you, like it, your hair has given it like big angry eyebrows, and as it opens its mouth, it looks like it has teeth, enormous teeth, and
Oh,
a big tongue made out of your hair.
that's not normal.
Lady Dana, remember our mission.
I
Yeah. Um.
just I just want you guys to know that nothing I've ever eaten, I've also piloted like a meat puppet. Just
I,
want you guys to
You've
know
changed
this.
into
Just
Actually,
things,
want you
like
guys to know this.
so
So
I
I win.
yeah. So I think here's what is racing through your combined mind right now is you have made yourself something that can eat pretty much anything you want.
Yeah.
And there's lots of things to choose from right now. There's all that
Mm.
purple slime just over there. But you also kind of intuitively know that all of the
That's
other Halima vats in the other hangar also have broken. And you also know that there's something big coming through the rift.
I'll go for the big thing.
Okay. So I think, you know,
I'll say there's something big coming through the
ha-
rift.
ha- so
or I'll say,
is-
And
so
it comes
I-
out.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think Prisma Latitude's mouth isn't ideally shaped for that, but you're helping it a little bit. But I
Yeah.
think it is sort
It'll
of
be
you, the two of
mumbled.
you as a combined thing are roaring that, and inside you, Prisma Latitude knows that right up that way is the hatch that leads to outside, and if you just crawl up those,
All right, I'll start.
those parts.
I'll move us that way.
Yeah. Okay, so what are the rest of you doing while you watch that happen?
I'm going to beat my wings and fly and follow her. And I don't know if I need to stop her yet, but clearly the focus of problems has changed to a 300-foot monster now being controlled, bonded with Lady Dana. Don't know,
Mhm.
but I think I need to go follow this. And since I have wings, I can do that.
Can I see can I see the rift that this creature came from? Like,
Well, so the rift I speak of is the big one that's in the ocean. If that was not clear, I apologize. That's what I was talking about. But at the same time, there has been, talk recently of potential deliberately created smaller rifts, and all of the screens, like the computer screens, seem to be flickering with rift-like energy right now.
Yeah.
So
That's my thing that I'm going to go after. I'm going to try and
Okay.
track down the source of that interference, cut it off, and find it, and kind of restore order in that regard.
let's jump to that
Seems
as soon as we. So Myron, what was it that you were wanting to do?
do, if so, can I from where we are, if we're going towards the rift following Lady Dana, can we see potentially anything bigger coming behind them?
I mean, what you're
has it not
seeing
revealed
is
yet?
you are inside this enormous hangar. They are climbing up towards a hatch in the ceiling that's going to take them outside.
Okay. Then yeah, I think I will follow behind them. I will follow behind them to go out, or behind Ningle and Lady Dana.
Okay, so and then John Deere, I think, is headed for computer station. What are you following? One team or the other here, Pandorum?
I think Pandorum would launch himself to cling against Lady Dana slash Halama,
Okay.
and just hang on and fall and go wherever they're going.
Okay. So I think before we cut away, just as the hatch in the ceiling opens, you realize there is a extremely unnatural looking storm in the sky above. You hear lightning and thunder, and the clouds seem to be sort of swirly and purple in a way that doesn't usually, like, you don't normally associate with like Earth weather. And it's very like the wind is blowing and there's a weird smell in the air. But John Deere, you are running to look at a computer instead.
yes. I'm going to summon up some equipment and try and track down the source of this interference and stop it.
Okay.
And I am
I'm guessing this is an Unleash the Dark. Yeah?
Unleash the Dark. Yep.
Mhm.
I've got 2 tokens. I'm going to spend them.
Okay. Okay, that's a miss with a 4. Yeah, so I think that's going to be tough.
No,
You have-
I do not have enough bonds for that.
Well,
Yeah.
what bonds do you have?
I've got 3 bonds. I can bring it to 7. That's all I can.
Oh, okay.
as
Do you
far
have a
as I can
bond
go.
with me?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So we
Yes. Okay.
Yes, you could use one of my bonds to use the +3. Hey, I might as well use this
Okay.
power if I got
Yeah.
it.
Right. All right. So I'll
Yeah.
use 1 bond with Ningle for +3, and 1 with Kaya
Mm-hmm.
to make it +4 and
Okay.
make that an 8 because
It's kind of not. It feels nice to spend a bond with Kaya at this point because
yes,
you suspected her and you're starting to have a general feeling like maybe she actually had something else going on and I didn't ask her about it. I
yeah,
just assumed that she was trying to end the world. Hmm.
yeah.
um. Yeah. Okay. Well, now that makes it a
So
perfect hit, and I was all getting ready to tick this doomsday clock again.
Mhm.
Um.
um,
But yeah, so that means with a perfect hit, where you're saying get past their defenses, inflict a condition, get what you want from them, avoid reprisals, harm or cost, gain the upper hand for now, expose weakness or flaw,
yeah,
etc. Yeah.
yeah, I want to avoid reprisals, harm, or cost because I can't afford anything
Yeah.
right now. Um, and uh, uh, and okay, so the way I'm interpreting this,
Mm-hmm.
confuse them for some time would be like I can clear the system for a while of the interference
So
and get things back online.
I would interpret.
But
So here's how I'm kind of thinking about it. Like I want to know a little bit. Like, are you trying to just stop what's happening? Or are you trying to actively interfere with what they're doing? So
I
it's
want
like,
to
is this more about stopping what they are doing, or is this more about we want access to the computers again?
I think I am going to uh my uh 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 my impulse is to go too far in search of the truth.
Yeah.
So I want to trace this more than I want
Oh, okay.
to
So you're not going to get it to stop or interfere, but you can like not from here. But what you're wanting to do is say this signal that's overwhelming everything. Where is it originating?
yeah, where is it yeah, not only where is it originating, but by what path is it coming here?
Right.
Because it could be originating, oh, it's originating at the rift.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
that's not useful information.
Right. Yeah.
uh it's more like how is it getting here
Mm-hmm.
sort
Mm-hmm.
of information. So I think expose a weakness or flaw is probably the choice that would be
Sure.
closest
Yeah.
to that.
I think that you are able to use your connection and to your determination. Uh, I think what the bond with Ningle here
Mhm.
is that gets you past something is it to begin with. Just even trying to be near these screens and looking at what they're showing is giving you a pounding headache. And there's actually, I think, maybe just a moment of fear too, that like you have all of this white that's part of who you are. And I think there's a moment of what if that strange iridescence infected me somehow? And I think it's not even so much that you eliminate the possibility of that as much as you realize, remembering your connection to Ningle, sometimes you just got to punch your way through it.
Right.
um, that as you push through there, and I think there's maybe you just remember a little something that Kaya said at some point. Um, you know what? Actually, you know what it was is you remember when you uncovered that it seemed like she or somehow like one or more of them had been trying to slow walk this research,
Mhm.
right? The You realized that the way they were covering their tracks
Mhm.
in the system produced a pattern of negative space rather than an active
Yeah.
path, right? And so that's what allows you to realize that where this is coming from, according to all of the like floor plans and architectural drawings and
Mhm.
everything that you had
Mhm.
accessed before of this facility,
Mhm.
tells you nothing is there. And yet it's showing a signal entering from somewhere that seems like there shouldn't be anything there.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
you are able to conclude that not here in this hangar, but in the other one, below that, there is something else. And the signal that's currently interfering with the computers is coming from there.
Okay.
And it's not on any of the drawings, and you can't help but wonder, is this also something that was erased from the system from this worm?
Right. So, let me be clear here. Lady Dana, Ningle, and Mirren have all left.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, so they have all climbed out of the hatch on the top of the building.
Right. So the only one who's still down here with me is
Pandora.
David's character.
No,
Pandora?
Pandora
Pandora.
went with them also. Everyone
Oh,
did.
okay.
Everyone but
Well,
you.
they all did.
Yeah.
Alrighty then. I guess it's me. So yeah, I'm gonna head in that direction and see if I can see what I can do with one condition left.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think, you know, you are finding that there are a lot of emergency doors and fire doors that have closed that you're having to kind of hack your way through. But you're in the you're heading in that direction. So we're gonna
Yeah.
pull away, but it's
Yeah.
gonna take you a little while to
Yep.
get there. Meanwhile,
Yep.
um, meanwhile, uh, Lady Dana and Prisma Latitude. I have to imagine that it feels great to be that big.
Oh yeah.
You feel strong. You just feel this level of like energy. You realize that you have access to Prisma Latitude's, like Prisma Latitude can turn invisible. You realize that you can do that now if you want.
Okay.
You have big old claws.
Yeah.
You can see the outside of this facility. You instinctively know where the hatches are for that other hangar, and you suspect that the other Halama are in there. But you also can feel it like an after image from looking at the sun. You can look out into the water and know the direction to go if you were going to just basically go to the big rift right now. And what you feel from that is similar to what you had all kind of, everyone had said about the sensors, you know, the readings you were getting from the rift right now is like,
Yep.
it acts like this when something big is coming, but it's been like this longer than it usually does when something really big is coming. So we're wondering if it's really, really big.
Really
Yeah.
big.
And that's kind of what you're feeling now. Your Halamoth senses are telling you that's imminent.
Right.
So, is that still where you're headed? I would think that if you are aware at all of your friends accompanying you, it would be very peripherally.
Yeah.
Because right now, all it would take is just chomp, swallow.
No, I'm not gonna eat that.
It crosses your mind, is all I'm saying.
It crosses my mind, and I make the decision I'm not gonna eat them because they're my friends.
You wouldn't want to spoil
They're
your
not
appetite for the big thing.
Yeah. They're my friends. They're not my snacks right now.
Right
Right
now.
Hey,
You
I
don't
bite
hear
back.
me say that.
Omen class monsters are friends, not food.
So, I think I'm going to still continue towards the rift.
Okay. So
I'm just trying to get a sense of like if Prisma is getting worried.
I think Prisma feels great right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
If Prisma feels great and I feel great, let's go do this.
Yeah. Because like Prisma has been cooped up for a while because they keep burping chlorine, and it's dangerous for everybody else.
But now there's no one else around.
And you're taking care of the chlorine problem.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so this is great.
Let's go do
Yeah.
this.
So in the meantime, Mirren, Pandorum, and Ningle, Lady Dinosaur, Lady Dinosaur,
Lady Kaiju.
Lady Dinosaur.
Lady Dinosaur it seems like she's about to march this thing right into the water. Meanwhile, you see a big explosion from the top of where you know the main hangar to be. Off to the one side, but headed right for the water.
Oh.
So what are the rest of you doing?
Should I go back to the main hangar?
Who are you talking
Myron, stay with Lady Dana. I'll go swooping over to Pandorum, grab him in my tendrils, and I'll fly him to the hangar.
And I'm gonna just, speed us along our way a bit.
That's
Alright,
fine.
Sure.
Exactly.
And I
Fly the
think
friendly
that,
skies.
yeah. So I think that is, that's straightforward to do is just, flap, flap, flap.
Yep.
So, Mirren, can you breathe
Ah,
You
man.
breathe it all?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's that's a bigger question.
Yeah,
I-
but I don't necessarily want to, hold myself together because I don't want to disperse in water.
underwater?
Well, dilemmas.
Maybe if you hid inside her mouth. I mean, just like she could hold you in there, like it would be a little pocket of air, right? She.
Full of chlorine gas. I probably can eat that. But wait, I know. Actually, ooh. Let's see. Are there any of the other Halloran or Pallet Pilots things around?
Not right now, but where Ningle and Pandorum just went is where they would come out of, except that you have some reason to believe that the damage you saw in the hangar you were in might also have been happening in the other one.
Okay.
Like the main one. So the active pilots, their Hallamahs might have also found themselves in shattered vats, and who knows what the pilots are doing. The computers are all malfunctioning. And there was that explosion. So Ningle and Pandorum went off to check about that. You don't know what John Deere's up to, but you also are aware that Lady Dinosaur is about to march you right into the ocean.
Right. Yeah, well, Geronimo, I guess.
We will find out if you can breathe water, huh?
Yeah, we're gonna have to, because it's either that or stay on the shore and wait to see what comes out of this hole.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, can I do something without? Usually a lot of the things I do need a brain, and there's already one in, I don't know if two people should be in one brain.
I mean,
it'd be three.
Has
I
that
mean,
ever stopped you before?
they're kind of
Yeah.
already 2 in 1.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like,
you could be
Yeah.
a third.
yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want to be the third wheel in one brain.
No,
There's a third
But-
lobe.
but no, actually, I will. Actually, I will though. I will try to I will try to hide myself in this thing's mouth and take the risk of trying to breathe chlorine gas versus holding myself together as a gelatinous individual
All right. All right,
whilst
are you-
underwater.
Are you're going to tell anything to to your friend here before you crawl into her mouth?
Telekinetically, I'm going to say, please, for everything you are, don't eat me because I do not want to burst from your insides.
Fair.
Okay.
All right. So
You're not my. You will now get the if you're trying to listen to a thought before a thought for me, it's like, you're not my snack now.
I'm gonna take for darkness for suddenly feeling very scared at the fact that they said right
Now.
now.
Right now. Hmm. Okay, so I think the camera watches as Myron slithers into the enormous hair-toothed chameleon mouth, and then the chameleon mouth marches into the ocean, Godzilla style. In the meantime, I think that uh, Ningle and Pandorum, you fly together in through one of the now destroyed hatches, looking down at this enormous hangar, and sure enough, all of the vats in that one have also shattered. And so the disoriented Halima of the three pilots that you met, this is I will put this on the people page just so you are kind of reminded. They have the images of their Halima behind them. So you see Malika's Garnet Cyclone, Asterio's Apostle Solar, and Catalina's Aurora Coyote, kind of disoriented and wet, kind of trying to keep out of each other's way in the flooded base, floor of this hangar. They're looking confused. A lot of people are running around, fussing with the computers and unable to make them stop flashing this strange iridescent white. And then I think you kind of spot down there on one of those catwalks, you see John Deere has just run into this area as well.
Oh,
All right, where am I dropping you, Pandorum?
uh, um, oh. Just right. I don't know.
Let me also just briefly say that even though in the past what we have done is literally have all of the characters in the moment get together and discuss before we did Unlock Doomstore, especially with the party split, we don't have to do that, right? You can all discuss in the meta, and then we can do the role without necessarily having to have all the characters in the
But
same room.
but it is a move that one character makes.
Right. Yeah. So the
Right.
point is just saying that you don't have to feel like because everyone's split up right now that means you can't do it. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Drop me next to John Deere.
Yep. As you wish. Ningle delivery service coming right up.
John, what are we doing?
The signal that's jamming up the computers is being routed through a space under this hangar. And I'm gonna figure out where it's coming from. So
And then we're going to rip it
Interaction.
open and deal with it, right?
yes, that's exactly what we're going to do. If you would do the honors, and because I'm not in good
You're
shape.
not looking in great shape. Just point me where I need
And,
to start breaking things. And I will start breaking.
So I will, using the best information I've got available, I'll say right there.
Mm-hmm.
Down, please.
Yeah. So you are pointing to the lower, the bottom floor of this enormous hangar that is currently flooded in about 6 feet of this amber liquid and huge chunks of broken glass vats, and also 3 building-sized monsters trying to stay out of each other's way. So down,
Yeah.
down there.
Get us.
Yep.
I'll clear a path for us.
Yeah. Clear an area around here. Hold the waters at bay, and I will
And
start.
I am going
tearing
and I'm
floor
going to
apart.
take some darkness tokens for telling people what to do.
Okay. So, Pandorum, you want to roll for me as you try to clear the specific area? given that right now there's, as I mentioned, 3 big Halamaw marching around down there. There's a lot of debris and, of course, all the liquid. And I'm not saying that's not something you're capable of, but let's see you try the powers.
Okay, gonna unleash the dark.
Ooh, disastrous success. So on an 11 plus, your control falters and you go too far. There will be an unintended consequence, but you can choose one of the items from that list.
Let's see.
I think expose a weakness or a flaw would like it. I would say clearing the hatch that you're going for would be, one thing.
Yeah, I think that's the thing I would choose.
Yeah, it's
You clear
probably the expose a weakness or flaw is basically what I would imagine that one is.
Okay.
But I think that what you find is that you are having to nudge an enormous lightning coyote out of the way as you're doing a lot of other things. And I think that instinctively it snaps at you. And you are able to sort of like repel its bite and shoo it, and it moves away. But it's going to cost you a condition. And I think that also, the unintended consequence here, I think, is that, I mean, the condition, I suppose, could be enough. No, I think that as you open the hatch, you're opening the hatch and you see for a moment that there's a split second where you realize you are about to break a little wire connection, but it's too late to stop. And when it breaks, you see lights down in where the hatchet is going, go boom, 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 turning on, and then a siren going rip, 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 rip. So you realize you have probably just alerted whatever's down there.
I think right now would probably be a time when we should set up a try and do the unlock Doom store, because it seems like we're kind of barreling towards
Doom.
Yeah.
Well, it may be that it's like, what are you expecting to see down there when you
Yeah.
race down there, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a good yeah.
Okay.
Let's try it again.
All right. So I'll put us back on the mystery map.
Can I do, before we go, can I do a grasp keys move for what I've learned going
Yeah.
here?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. I'm gonna use 3 tokens.
Okay.
Disastrous success.
Okay, so you uncover a key, but there's a significant complication cost for fallout. The keeper will tell you what it is. Let me figure out what the key
So the
is.
cover keeper will reveal how you come closer to being a harbinger. Yeah, I will mark uncover a key.
No. That's for if there's a miss. For a
Oh,
disastrous
okay.
success, you get the key, but there's a significant complication cost or fallout.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm gonna decide what the key is before I tell you what
Okay.
that is.
right.
Let's see. I think that okay. Yeah. I think that you had left like a little dongle in one of the computer systems, so you were like, while you were running over here, it was still trying to process through
Right.
and find out more information.
Mhm. Sure.
And I think that what you eventually find are little traces of what this facility below the facility was.
Okay.
And there is only one name, like a code name that you find,
Okay.
and it's Project Mecca. And it is, so the new key is a secret facility that creates terrifying machines. And what you realize is, I think the little bits and pieces you find of whatever it is that's down there is that it seems to be some kind of a robotics facility of tremendous scale.
Okay. All right.
You can't have pilots to pilot Halamar. Pilots to pilot robots instead.
Mm.
Basically Pacific Rim.
Mm. Or, Mecha Godzilla and, yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Or Evangelion.
Mhm.
If people don't understand the reference there, one of the horrifying reveals in that show is that what we had always assumed were giant monsters turned out to just be cyborgized giant. So what we had thought were giant robots turned out to be cyborgized giant monsters. Anyway, so yes, that is your new key.
Okay.
And so
And so now we have 9 keys going into our
Right.
unlocked dooms.
And
And-
so even though everyone, all the characters are not in the same place, you certainly can all still participate in the move here.
Yeah. Well, I did the last one, and we saw how that worked out. So I'm gonna let other people talk.
Um, I definitely think the Harbinger wants to open the door of power so they can make these things. I think they want to somehow build some sort of, I guess, army of mecha. Maybe there's some sort of power source on the other side of this rift that they can use to power these things.
Well, we know there's definitely power dealing. That we know there's definitely is power in the original creatures.
Yeah, and like
And because the heart of Fletcher's former Halimar is helping to power the facility. So
Yeah.
maybe this is Neon Genesis Magillion, and there's going to be some sort of weird hybrid going on here. After all,
well, the thing is, so it's like they're building machines, but someone's also stealing powers from the Halimar
right?
and
Powers
giving them
and
to
power,
humans.
yeah.
So I'm wondering if kind of like they want like the pilots to have abilities that they can use when running the mecha.
Maybe.
You take the power from monsters, put it into people. The people are the batteries, along with the brain of the mecha.
Yeah.
It makes them easier to pair, right? Like they're closer to one another in some kind of way, or at least humans
Well-
become closer to the monster.
Well, you wouldn't need to worry about whether they're pairing or not because the human already has the powers and they're just connecting to a machine instead of it being two psychic individuals
Instead of-
connecting.
Yes, instead of trying to find two psychic signals that match, it's blank blank canvas versus coming to
Having to-
individual
yeah, having
that
to-
has the power.
So do you think they were erasing the Halimar class their memories so that there was a blank slate to use in there, so easier to control?
Well, honestly, probably if they've got the Halimar powers into a human, they don't need the Halimar anymore.
Except as a source of the powers to put in the human to run the mecha. The
Unless,
Halimar are
basically, if they drain the Halimar of all their powers, they don't have any incentive to keep this huge creature alive.
Maybe using the Halimar as they are with these connections is how they drain their powers through use, through fighting these monsters. And then when they wear out or when these Halimar are used up, we find them in that pile of either clones or discarded things that we found. Maybe that's how they drain it. Maybe through using the Halimar, they drain it that way.
I mean, with
kind of burn them up.
with the death of every rift monster, they do harness a portion of the power to power the facility, and and they said it's not perfect. Perhaps it's more perfect than they expect.
yeah, and we know corruption bleeds
Channel.
from that power. So yeah, so it's already a problematic sort of situation.
And maybe that's not even corruption. Maybe they call it corrupt. Maybe the harbinger calls it corruption so that we don't look into it more. Maybe this is the cast off that they're using to put powers into these people. Like there's a multitude of possibilities with this almost infinite
I
source
think
of
what
power.
we need to do with this is not
Yeah.
to discuss possibilities, but
Yeah,
lay
let's
lay down our theory.
Pattern.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So
Who,
now is not the
what,
time to.
why?
Yeah.
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 So let's
hodgepodge.
start drawing lines.
And of course, it's also entirely viable to have a theory where someone did or will do something by accident. Like they might not be meaning to do something world ending, but could be doing that nonetheless out of like ignorance or hubris.
Mm.
Or it could be on purpose. I mean, I'm just saying all theories are potentially viable.
So
That's why we have to roll for them.
someone Project Mecha as the harbinger. Okay.
Yep.
Um, Power from the rift is harnessed. Corruption bleeds from it. Yeah, I think
You have 10 keys now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So I'm wondering if the power.
Well, what it says, go for one and saying what is it? Making a declarative statement. Power. Let's go declarative.
power from the rift is harnessed. Corruption bleeds from it. I think that is connected to the door of power.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I did the wrong color again. I know. I'm gonna leave it. You thank you. Okay.
And,
Right.
I'm just adding numbers to the keys.
Okay. So.
Yeah.
I think the data erasure, the worm, and the messages of Luna were all towards silencing her to not let us find out about what's going on with the harbinger.
okay.
Okay.
All right. If someone else is drawing lines, okay.
Yeah, I think we have too many cooks
Yeah.
spilling the broth here. Okay, I'll stop. Okay.
Okay. I'm just gonna draw lines. You tell me what
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
gonna draw.
Right.
So
So 2 and 3 both go to possession and disappearance.
Okay.
Right.
Got it. How about number 1? Where does that go? Also the last one? We can
Yeah. That
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I
Discarded clones.
think that would go towards the rift. I think that was how they're trying to keep it open. They want to.
Okay.
Yep.
And people have been trying to open rifts for a long time. That's
a harbinger,
okay.
I would say.
Yeah, it's Harbinger's hijacking that
Evidence of
process.
false memories.
I would say go to the harbinger trying to make these mecha.
Okay. Remains of the original monster and its growing power. Door of power.
Your power.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Ritual to open a small rift and transfer powers to monsters to human. Also door of power, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Mm.
Lines have been drawn.
Okay.
So who's our suspect?
Who's at the core of this?
Yeah, who's at the core of this? Here we go again.
Selena.
I hate this. I hate the idea, but I think you might be right.
Mm-hmm.
But why?
Because this is kind of mystical at this point.
Yes,
mean,
it is
It's like,
very, very esoteric.
how much easier would it be to handle security of a facility like this if you don't have to worry about
Monsters and
and, re-
pilots.
and resurrection of young people? Like, you replace it with mecha, which can be
Yeah.
theoretically, piloted by anybody.
Right. But the
Yeah.
fact that they are powered by the rift means you can never close it.
Yeah, and so
And graduate and they're caught in this loop that means the rift is going to keep on getting bigger and more powerful monsters, and eventually things are going to get out of hand, and it's an inadvertent door of power that is being held open by bureaucratic
resource mongering.
inertia.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bureaucratic inertia. The real villain here is the system.
Mhm.
Is that still with Selena as the harbinger?
No, the Harbinger. I'm not sure that. Yeah, it's not.
I was
mean,
I was just trying to clarify because that
Yeah.
explanation doesn't sound like it would be Selena.
No,
That
that
sounds
was-
back to being Kaya.
Well,
No,
I
not
think
necessarily. But
I think what in the very gross corporations are people sense,
Mhm.
I it could really be like
mysterious
without
is
any
the Harbinger.
specific intent from any individual, the collective behavior of the organization is what leads to it. I mean, that's
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's
The
a
Iron
viable
Law of
theory. Yeah.
Yep, the iron law of bureaucracy. Bureaucracy's first law is to perpetuate and accentuate themselves. That's what Mysterious is doing, even if they don't quite know they realize they're doing it. We're fighting the system, friends. We're fighting
All
the
right.
system.
I'm not going to roll this.
I'll roll
I
it.
fouled it up last time. Somebody else.
But
roll.
we get what pluses this
So
time,
it's two.
right?
Yeah, we got
plus two, right?
2d6
I
plus
got it.
2.
Yeah.
So the theory here is essentially that they have unwittingly essentially been acting as both sides of an arms race
Yeah.
Yeah.
without really realizing that they were working at cross purposes. They have been thinking we need to get better and better in order to fight these things without realizing that they were making the threat worse and worse in the process.
Right.
Yeah, no, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, not again.
Oh,
Okay, so
Wow.
that's a 6. That's another miss. So what that means, just like the last time, is that the door remains hidden. The theory was the wrong one. Every PC marks 1 ruin. And the Doomsday Clock ticks
Oh,
one more time. And I think that what happens now, this is the next tick of the Doomsday Clock regardless. But I think it is a good moment to perhaps end tonight's session on, rather than start a whole big new thing right now.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which is to say that, you know how they kept thinking that something really big was gonna come through the rift?
Mhm.
Well,
yeah.
now it does. There is a huge earthquake. The ground shakes. Those of, I think, Lady Danosaur and perhaps Myron, through a gap in her teeth, see that the volcano at the center of the island starts to erupt.
Oh,
There's
boy.
a huge in the water and a glow of light, and all of the sense all of the alarms start to blast, and as we as the camera go down into the water and see this rift that we've seen kind of only through psychic visions before, we see it. We see two enormous, like, clawed, strangely distorted hands grabbing it and pulling it bigger and bigger and bigger as something emerges. Something is birthed into this world. And we'll have to. I didn't really mean to make that a birth imagery. It just kind of.
Well, you
Yeah,
are-
but it
Yeah.
kind of makes sense anyway.
It does. So in any case, I just wasn't going there on purpose. It's just inherent to the material. There's only so much I can do. But yes, something bigger than any previous Rift monster before it has emerged into our world. And what will y'all do about it? We'll have to find out next time when we return for more Apocalypse Keys on so many levels.
So many levels.
Levels.
All the
Bye-bye.
levels.
Ooh.
Ah.